For a session presented by the Leela and Global Hotel Alliance, please welcome CEO of the Leela Palaces, Hotels and Resorts, Anuraag Bhatnagar, and CEO of Global Hotel Alliance, Chris Hartley, in discussion with SkiftX Research Editor, Dan Marcec.
Anuraag, great to see you.
Hi, good morning. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but great seeing you guys as well.
Yes, and we'll let you decide if you want to explain to the audience why you couldn't make it. A minor affliction, right?
Oh, reminder. I'll stick to the shorter version. Just fractured my right leg, still hobbling around on 1.5 foot, so not at my best, but really present there in mind and in spirit.
Excellent. And Chris, obviously great to have you on stage. So as the title of this session suggests, we're going to talk about luxury hospitality. And before I get into the questions for you guys, just want to throw out a quick statistic. Skift Research did a survey of global travelers from India, China, the US, UK, Germany. You'll probably hear a lot more from this survey throughout the day. But 22% of Indian travelers said that they prefer 5-star luxury hotels over all other types of accommodations. That's a pretty impressive number in and of itself, but it's actually 5 to 8 percentage points higher than any other market in the survey. So Anuraag, we're going to start with you. Talk to us a little bit about the Indian traveler preferences, why luxury is so important to them, and as well as its impact on the domestic market.
Thank you, Dan. I'll just allude to what was being spoken about a bit earlier today in the morning. You heard what Campbell had to speak in terms of what's happening and into the luxury travel in India and some data points, especially in terms of what Rajesh spoke just recently. Luxury travel in India is actually going through a huge transformation. It kind of had a huge reboot just after COVID, and travelers today are moving beyond just conventional 5-star hospitality like how it was earlier. And they're seeking more exclusive, experiential, and highly personalized stays that kind of, impact their status and aspirations. If you just take a step back and look at a few data points, India's luxury market, from 70 million households in India, like for FY24, which had the proportionary disposable income spend on luxury, is likely to grow to 220 million households. That's a huge addressable market for luxury consumption. It's growing at a CAGR of double digits, high single digits, and between 9 to 11% is the expected upsurge in the luxury market. There's a surge of wealthy and luxury travelers who are seeking experiences. So those shifts are happening. We see more propensity to book premium and business class travel as far as airlines are concerned. But what's really happening is their behavior and their preferences are changing. We have seen that over the last couple of years, and a couple of speakers earlier spoke about it. They are prioritizing more immersive experiences, more exclusive and insider access, rather than just a product or content-led service. Wellness, sustainability, culture, spiritual travel in India's context, multi-generational travel, families and generations traveling together. All of these have been like trends which have come up of late and have got amplified over the last 2 years, and we see them here to stay. The other thing that we realized being in the pure play luxury travel and hospitality business, it's very, very important that any brand which is catering to this luxury travel clients is at the forefront of setting new benchmarks, creating those immersive experiences, and ensuring that the consumer experience, the end-to-end experience bubble, is always top-notch. Because
Right.
this consumer and customer is also extremely discerning, value-seeking, and also able and globally well-traveled, and are able to benchmark what they're actually peg yourselves against. So I think these are some of the trends when we talk of hyper-personalization and catering to it. And I think Rajesh spoke a lot about execution. So it's also very important that this becomes the biggest strategy for us.
Right, exactly. And we're going to come back and talk a little bit about what the Leela is doing to provide those experiences. But those numbers you threw out, the 70 million people that are in the luxury category now, that's going to grow to 220 million. I'm from the US, that's the entire size of the US adult population. So it's just amazing. So Chris, how are you seeing this reflected in outbound travel as well? Anuraag gave a really good sense of what those trends are. So as these luxury travelers go out into the market, what are they seeing and what are they looking for outside of India?
Well, first of all, great to be here and to be back at Skift India Forum again and to be partnering with Leela. I'm sorry, Anuraag, you're not with us today, but I hear he has to stand down from his draft to the IPL next week due to this injury. So that's very sad, but I'm sure you'll be cheering on from the sidelines. But yes, our partnership with Leela dates back about 30 years. And I've been coming to this market ever since. And those of you that were here this time last year may remember that I said, one of my mentors here in India, Captain Iyer, has said, the founder of Leela, that 21st century will be about travel in India. And I think that's coming true when you hear some of the numbers. Yeah. You touched on the big growth in luxury travel. But if you just look at it sort of at a macro level at the moment, India represents about $30 billion in outbound travel today, so international travel, which is what we're really seeing in Global Hotel Alliance. But China today is at 130 billion. So if you think of that, that means it's a $100 billion gap between where India is today and where China is. But if you look at the dynamics since the pandemic, what you've seen is the last 12 months, for example, India outbound grew by about 15%, whereas China has declined by 10%. Now, what does that mean? If you look at all of the forecasts, you see that the likelihood is that India outbound travel is going to catch up with China in the next 5 to 10 years, which means that $100 billion of outbound spend is going to be reaching hotels around the world. And so that's where we're so invested in this market here in India, because we believe that it's going to become one of the fastest growing and largest overall markets in the world. Growth means that India will go from number 10 in the world in outbound travel to number 5 in the next 2 to 3 years. And it's the third fastest major outbound market in the world at the moment, actually behind Indonesia and Vietnam, which are much smaller markets, but happen to be growing faster. So the scale is enormous. The age of the population means that an average age of about 28 versus the rest of the world is 40 plus. You have also a long runway for growth as this new generation of middle class, which is about 500 million people in this country, start to travel. And 2/3 of people in that middle class category say they want to travel internationally. 90% of high net worth individuals plan to travel internationally in the next 12 months. So just to give you a sense of the scale and the opportunity that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, opportunity I think is the right word, and it's very exciting. So as a result, I would imagine that there's probably a little bit of competition in this market. So Anuraag, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Leela is doing to provide that experience that the customers are looking for so that you can take advantage?
I think firstly, it's very, very important that we understand that luxury is beyond just product now. There was a time when it was all about beautiful chandeliers, the top-notch palace quality and assets and a collection of art and having extremely bespoke. It's all of it, but it's evolved now to experiences, the touch and feel, authenticity. And while some things have remained constant, what has really remained at the heart and core of luxury hospitality at the Leela has been the warmth and graciousness of service that we provide and the experiences that we create. To touch upon a few, and we are always evolving, we had launched the Leela Palace Services, which was our own palace services program with some 9 odd touch points that every guest who stays at the Leela, and I'm assuming and I'm hoping that you are going to be experiencing them today as well through your private butler program, that you go back and experience. And these are the touch points that are very relevant to every traveler, whether you're a corporate traveler or a leisure traveler. In terms of product curations and crafting, we have recently, I say last few months back, launched the Arc Villas at Lake Pichola at Udaipur. Now, this was creating a palace within a palace. Over an acreage of land, which was lake fronting, we created these amazing exotic villas, which are today selling at over 3,500. But because of the fact that we created a complete experience journey and a bubble where you have your own master chef, you have your wellness therapist, you have your own palace services, butler, your own housekeeping. So it's literally a small reserve and a sanctuary in the overall landscape and ecosystem of the Leela Palace Udaipur.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a video to show. If you want us to give us a few seconds, we can show everybody what that looks like, and then you can.
Yeah, please.
So
Yes.
let's pull that up.
Probably I'll give the voiceover. I think it's all about creating that end-to-end experience. And I think this is something that every luxury brand has attempted to recreate. And this is where we want to be at the forefront. And this particular product and service and experience offering has been extremely well accepted. And we are launching it now in the international market as well as we go forward. And like I mentioned earlier, there's such a strong consumption and explosion in demand. We are expanding this to launch our own members-only club across 4 cities. In Bangalore, Chennai, it's only by invite, New Delhi, as well as Mumbai. This is going to increase the brand affinity and give our further insider access and unparalleled privileges and create literally a strong community of like-minded travelers on the luxury space who are experiential seeking and like to connect. This is again something that we are working on to launch at various stages within this year. So these are just 2 of the offerings that I spoke about that Leela is attempting to bring to our create those immersive experiences for our guests.
That's great. Yeah, and those are really, really good examples. So, as you roll these out and you start to build more loyalty with Leela customers, so Chris, they're going to go abroad. They don't have Leelas everywhere, which I think is a good thing because that makes it so special here in this market. But what are they looking for, and how can these loyal customers to Leela find similar types of experiences in the unique places that they're going? Obviously, that's kind of where GHA comes in, right?
Exactly, and as I said, we've been partnered with Leela for many years. As a result of that relationship, we built up a very strong Leela customer base, but also other customers here in this market that travel regularly internationally. About 650,000 members of Leela Discovery and GHA Discovery loyalty platform are here in India. Where do they travel to, and what are they like? Well, luxury is very much an objective for leisure travelers. So about 2/3 of leisure travelers typically say they're looking for a luxury experience when they travel. And you can see from the numbers up there the sort of scale that we represent in terms of the hotels around the world. Dubai, the UAE, is actually the #1 most popular destination for Indian travelers. That's because we keep hosting the cricket. I live in Dubai, but we keep hosting the cricket for you. So that's why you love coming to Dubai. But no, we've got Dubai #1. You've got Thailand up there. You've got the US and the UK, which are always perennial popular, and Saudi Arabia also for religious travel. So those are typically the markets that we see those customers going to. But in terms of experiences, we definitely see Indian customers spending more. We see them staying longer, and we see a high proportion of luxury leisure travelers in those hotels who, especially in markets like Dubai, are sort of mixing that business and leisure travel together more and more now.
Right.
So yeah, we see the growth in terms of average rates as well coming from the leisure segment. That's where the premium rates are at the moment. As we all know, corporate rates tend to be subdued in the current environment. But if you look to leisure travelers, you can see typically Indian leisure travelers are paying 5 to 7 times more on leisure trips than they do on a typical business trip. So that's what we're seeing in terms of outbound, and we see that continuing to grow apace over the years to come as we build with our partnerships here in India, our customer base in this market.
Right. So I want to make sure that we get to one of the most important parts of this conversation. Is it's really exciting to talk about all the opportunity, but of course there are challenges that come along with that. There's a lot of competition for this market. We know that, for example, when you're looking to drive revenue for a hotel, less than half of hotel bookings globally are direct. And it's even lower for independent hotels. So actually, Chris, you shared with us some statistics that 56% of GHA enrollments come via OTAs, but once they're in the system, over 90% are actually booking directly. So these are really important things that independent hotels have to think about. How are you driving that type of relationship and that loyalty, and where are those opportunities for independent hoteliers?
Yeah, I think the difference when you look at companies like Leela and some of the brands you saw, the Kempinskis, the Corinthias, the Capellas, when you're an asset owner, the cost of acquisition of a customer is very important to you. If you're a franchise, you have less concern, you're looking more at the top line revenue. As an asset owner, you're looking at the cost of acquisition. So an OTA booking, especially for an independent brand who are much smaller, is gonna be maybe 50 to 60% higher cost of acquisition than it is for one of the big brands. So what do you need to do? You need to engage with customers directly. Now that's very difficult to do if you're a small brand.
Right.
And so you need to collaborate, and that's why we created the Alliance, which enables us to bring together 850 hotels across 100 countries, which give consumers choice when they travel. We need to offer Indian travelers going overseas a choice. They know the Leela brand here in India. They love the Leela brand. But we want to give them an opportunity to experience something similar when they travel overseas. If we can do that, we'll reduce the cost of acquisition, we'll reach bigger audiences, and for asset owners, 2/3 of our hotels are owner-operated. That makes a huge difference to profitability.
Yeah. Anuraag, I just got a little bit of time left for a quick question for you. How does that reflect your experience in terms of maintaining your brand identity, but also having the scale to grow your business?
I think the moat is that GHA as a partner, as an alliance, has almost 47% of the member hotels which are into luxury and ultra luxury. And Chris spoke about Capella and Kempinski. So, and I think for us, the cross-brand market overall has we see a 25 to 30% growth year on year. This is today in India where we don't see the inbound having caught up to pre-COVID numbers. From our end, we are looking at creating a more personalized booking experience, reinvesting back using, I know a lot has been spoken about AI and technology, reinvesting back into our website to ensure not just the user experience, but user interface in collaboration with GHA can be enhanced and improved. Chris already spoke about how our members are seeking more direct connectivity and experience. So it's like looking at benefits and a whole brand stickiness factor, which is going beyond just discounts and value seeking.
Great. Well, thank you both for your time. I wish we had more time to discuss, but lots of opportunities in the networking time to talk to Chris and Anuraag. We'll look forward to having you join us next time.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.